Alright, what you see here is a KDK industrial ceiling fan, model B56X5. This one my uncle bought for me back in the year 2006 for my birthday, and he brought it up from the Dominican Republic to the United States. And I had the Hunter baseball fan, which was my bedroom fan at the time, and I still have to this day, replaced with this, because I always liked these fans a lot, and so I figured maybe have one of these in my bedroom up here. The baseball fan was only installed from like 2003 to 2006, so it wasn't really up for that long. So this one is the one that I see more as like the childhood fan in a sense, because I had it up longer compared to that one. Although the baseball one's childhood as well, this one I had more years with it as my bedroom fan, so this one's a more sentimental one out of the two. Especially since my uncle has since passed away back in December of 2019, so because of that, this fan's even more special for that reason. He also got the newer KDK for me as well. That was originally going to go to another collector, but since then, that fan's going to stay with me. So, yeah. It's the one that I let Mark Wilson borrow. It's basically the newer KDK that looks like this, but just modernized. It's that one. So, yeah. This fan used to be in my old bedroom at the old apartment, and then it was moved over to the bigger bedroom, which is where I had the Hampton Bay Glendale installed after this, and then the Casablanca Delta 2 in white and polished brass for a very short time, and then after that, the Glendale went back up, and then I put up the Passport 2, and that was the last bedroom fan I had at that apartment before moving here. Then I had the Infinity up, low profile, then the pan number 2. But, yeah, this one was run off of a white dimmer at the time at the old apartment because we didn't know that can mess up the fan. Thankfully, the fan didn't get damaged at all by it. We didn't really use the fan all too much. If anything, it was more so like when it was the summertime I had to use it. So it really wasn't used all the time. Back then, I wasn't really big on having fans on in the winter time. And also it was on reverse, but since this fan couldn't be reversed, it just wouldn't have worked. So yeah. But yeah, this fan, as you can see, it's basically mint compared to the other ones you see in the Dominican Republic where they're all yellowed looking usually, or not completely yellow, but they look a little bit yellowed. And that's more so due to the climate down there with the heat, and also not to say that it's dirty down there, but it's just the climate down there is a lot more dry, so that kind of does help the plastic get more yellowed. I've noticed, but it really depends on the room it's in. If it's like a room that has the windows open all day long, they tend to yellow a lot more. But if it's in a space that's air conditioned in the windows, like it's a sealed space, then I notice they hold up better finish wise. But yeah, here's the KDK logos on the bottom. There's the one on the motor housing, and then there's the other one where the switch cap is. And there's a KDK sticker up there. I am using some tape to hold the canopy in place. There's some white electrical tape because that canopy, no matter what I do, no matter what screw I put in, it just loosens up. Unless I put like a huge screw in there, but I don't want to do that. So I just put some electrical tape on it. What I've realized is that the hole that holds the screw has widened up too much, so I would have to put a bigger screw there. But I figured maybe just put some tape because that'll be easier and such. Plus, I don't want to make it too big with a bigger screw and end up cracking it. So, yeah, it's had that issue even at the old apartment. There were times that it would fall down while I was using it. So, yeah, this was the idea that I figured would be the best way to hold it up, and also it won't look too obvious that there's tape holding it. You can barely see it unless you look closely at it. But yeah. Now, as many of you guys know, these fans are major childhood fans for me, the KDK industrial fans. But this one specifically, like one I've always wanted to keep in good shape because now that they don't make them no more, It's definitely, out of any KDK I've seen recently, it's obviously out of the older era, it's definitely one that's in the best shape. But that's also because it's up here and hasn't been used really. But yeah. Let me see if I can find the model. Oh, there it is. And yeah, I've always planned to put a light on it back when I had it at the old apartment, but it just never happened, and that's more so because the Glendale went up in its place. I wanted to use a control and have like this, have the control and then have a light switch built into it like this. But then I realized that where the light switch was in the bedroom that I had at the time, where the Glendale ended up getting installed, the KDK control would not fit there because it was too close to the way they had that light switch. It was like against the door, so you'd have to like cut the control or switch just to fit against it nicely. So I just wanted to fit there at all, especially with the lighting, like the way it was set up. So that's when I decided just to put a residential fan up instead, just so it'd be more simple. But obviously it wasn't as good as performance compared to this one. But yeah, so without further ado, let me go ahead and start off on speed 1. And this is not the control that came with it. This is just a used one I got recently in the Dominican Republic, and I had a light switch put into it customly. So that way, whenever I test this on some other KDKs with a light kit, I can just control it off of this right here. And I had to have a separate switch here for the light. So yeah, let me go ahead and start off on speed 1. But yeah, these are definitely the most common versions of the KDK industrial fans that I see down there. Nowadays, the more common one is either the modernized version that looks like this or the other one that looks more like a UFO. Well, more so the modernized one of the one that looks like an A56XL, but without the gray rings. The canopy isn't hitting against it, it's just the noise it will make when it likes to wobble, like, well, not so much wobble, but dance around like this. And the hook that's holding it, the J hook that it came with, that doesn't have the black thing that helps it mount against to the hook for the mounting portion, so it definitely will have more of a torque to it when I change it on the other speeds. But yeah, this is the one that back when I first started the video, the channel, back in 2013, the earliest videos I did, there were the 3 KDKs at my grandparents' house. I did a video of each of them individually, and then I did a video of the ceiling fans up here at the apartment, the carriage house 2 and polished brass in the living room, and the Glendale in the bedroom. And I showed the 4 other fans I had at the time, the only other fans I had: the Hampton Bay Carousel, the Hunter baseball fan, the Hunter Augusta remote, and this. This is that exact fan, and this is also the one that I showed assembled on the bed at the time. It's also the one that, if you notice in some of the old fan photos, there's a KDK installed in a bedroom that has a home base plate above it from like a Hunter baseball fan. That's this exact fan right here. For the longest time, I've always wanted to do a video of it, and 8 years later, I finally get around to doing so. What happened was, after it was removed, when I had moved, before I even moved over to this apartment, one of the wires that was attached to the capacitor to the lead for the fan had separated, so I had to get it resoldered. And just, better way to put it, I just never got around to getting it done until recently. So yeah. But now that I have more of a setup to install industrial fans on a test mount here, I really aim to get that done for this fan, because if I was going to test any KDK down here first, I wanted it to be this specific one. So yeah. Speed 1 seems to be going a little bit faster than they normally go, but I think it could also be more so the voltage up here. It's like 120, down there it's 110. But so it goes a little bit faster, but not by much. All right, now to move it up to speed 2. Oh yeah, I could go on talking about how many places I've seen these at, but I feel like the videos that I've done of numerous KDKs in the Dominican Republic over the years kind of does the talking for me in a sense. Otherwise, it'd be a few hours long if I try to name every single place that I've seen these in the Dominican Republic. I will name a few that I don't see anymore though. Like I remember at the airport that I go to, or that we go to when we're arriving from the Dominican Republic and leaving. I think I've mentioned in some of the leaving the Dominican Republic videos that there used to be KDKs behind the space where they put the suitcases after you check them in and such, which I always thought was a really cool install. I've seen these in a lot of like Pica Pollo type places. There was like basically like a fried chicken place, like by Chinese people that work down there. Furniture stores I've seen these in. I've seen some in supermarkets, though not as much like back when I was a kid. I've seen them in a lot of corner stores, those colmados, little tiny bodegas and such. Houses. Like almost any place you see a fan down there, it's bound to be either this or something else. But 75% chance it would either be a KDK or something else. Well, 75% chance it would be a KDK, and 25% chance it'd be something else. But yeah, I've seen these in churches, various restaurants, hotels, gift shops, especially in the Conde, the colonial area. I've seen there's a ton of gift shops that have a ton of these there. There was a few arcades I saw that had these when I was a kid. Trying to think where else. Auto shops, car parts stores, paint stores. Like, there's literally so many places I can name off where I've seen these. But I figured I'd just name a few just to give some people an idea. Alright, now for speed 3. It's definitely going a little bit faster on speed 3 than they normally do. Not by a whole lot, though, just a tiny bit faster. Almost speed 4, but not exactly speed 4. And just for those who are watching the video, I figured it'd be interesting to know that it's actually the first time this fan has ever been run off of a KDK 5 speed control, because at the apartment I had it off of a dimmer and then a fan control, like a variable speed control, and then an on-off switch. So, yeah. I know I have the actual controlling that I'm buying for this later on, but I just don't know where it is right now. But I figured to test the KDKs and such, I figured I'd use this specific one. Since it has a light switch built into it already, I figured this would be the best one to use just for testing. It's definitely moving a nice breeze on this speed. Alright, now to move it up to speed 4. I remember as a kid, at the Salem Willows arcade, I always thought that it would have been pretty cool if they had KDKs there instead of relights. Or even like at Bonkers before they tore the place down. There were like various industrial stands, not fan stands, industrial ceiling fans there. Like in the Dominican Park, there was like another place similar to it where they had like KDKs, Universals, newer KDKs, older KDKs. Yeah, it's not exactly speed 5, but it's close to it. It's a little bit above speed 4 normally, but not by much. But it's moving a very good amount of air just on speed 4. Right, now to move it up to speed 5. And speed 5, of course, it's flying. Since this one never really got used all that much compared to some other KDKs that I have, the motor's still very quiet, especially the bearings. Still got to film the other fans that I had at the old apartment that I never filmed. The Hunter Baseball fan and the Augusta remote on the test mount and such. I've already done a carousel, but I do need to pull out the Carriage House 2 and the Glendale for remakes as well. You know, since this one KDK is just in such pristine condition, it's always been one that I've wanted to get on video for the longest time. I mean, even back when I went to Mark Wilson's place for the first time to test, when I tested the blender fan of his there, I was originally going to have this tested there, but that's when I noticed that one of the wires that went to capacitor got separated, so it just couldn't have been tested that day. Yeah, these fans, I mean, they're not the highest quality industrial fan, but for the price that these go for, they're like they like range between $80 to $100 depending where you buy them at. They're definitely a good deal. Like, they perform very well. They are great air movers. They're pretty close to Goldline in terms of air movement, but not exactly Goldline. But they spread the air around very well, and so now the motor is plastic, or the housing that is, but in a way it's kind of a benefit because then it doesn't cause it to heat up so much. Whereas if it was like a stamped steel motor, even if it had vents, at least the motor doesn't get so hot and it won't seize up as easily. Yeah, it's definitely an extremely powerful fan. Shut it off and do spin down. Yeah, the gold lines from the Union types in the early 80s on up until 85, relights, Dayton leading edges, cast Daytons, pro lines and such. Those ring fans, like those are all like my biggest childhood industrial fans and such. Oh, and the older Can-Arms too. But if anything, I feel like this is definitely the biggest childhood fan for me in terms of industrials, because of how many memories I have of them in the Dominican Republic. In fact, these actually couldn't, from what I can recall, these probably are like the first industrial ceiling fans I ever saw as a kid. It was that house that had 5 of them. Now they only have, I think they still have 5, but no, they only have 4 now. But 2 of them are only 2 of them are from the old house that they were living in. It was a house that they had one in the kitchen, not the kitchen, the dining room, with just a light, no glass on it. In fact, none of them had glasses, but except for one that was in the living room had a glass for a short time. I think I filmed it with a video video with a glass. I'm not sure, but that one that was in the living room now is in one of the bedrooms. There was 2 of them in the bedroom. One of them they brought with them, but it's just they're not using it. I mean, I'll post. It was the one I did of ceiling fans at my friend's old house. There was 3 of them that were at the house back when they were used to be neighbors of my grandparents and such, and those are like the 3 that really got me into KDKs. And when I visited them one time around, I think it was in the year 2005, I was just being in one of the bedrooms with one of them, watching TV late at night while visiting them. And that's what really influenced me to get this fan in a sense. It just, well, more so it got me to want to have a KDK and as a bedroom fan up in the United States as well. So that's kind of how I ended up getting this fan. Oh yeah, I'm really glad to finally have it running again after all these years of it just sitting, I wouldn't say sitting around, but just not being used. And it's great to see that the fan runs great still after all these years. Spin down's a little bit shorter than I expected for one of these, but I mean, at the same time, this fan never really got heavily used like other ones, so that definitely explains why the spin down's only like a few minutes versus being 5 to 8 minutes long. So, yeah, that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos to come.